What's up, everyone? It's Carrie, aka Nerdygirlcreates. Welcome to my channel for a very special live stream. And joining me is Mr. Frank Zanca. How are you doing today, sir?
Good. How are you doing? Happy Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday. It's I'm very happy to have you on as a guest. I know we've been talking about your recent campaign that you had for Destiny of Aurora and Kickstarter.
Yep. Yeah, we just finished up the other day, and we were successfully funded. It was for the audio book and the graphic novel, and then of course I had other items on there as well, so everybody can kind of get caught up on some of my other projects.
Yeah, I noticed you had graphic novels, even a board game on there that looked really interesting.
Yeah. So Destiny Aurora has kind of been kind of gone through the gamut of different mediums. And when I originally had, so I had a meeting with Len Wiseman's group, and Len Wiseman is the director of Underworld, and
Okay.
and he did the remake of Total Recall, and then he did Lucifer. So he's done a pile of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and so I had the first and second book out at the time, and the board game was getting done. And I said, "Look, I have all this stuff," and he's like, "Yeah, we love it." And he said, "The problem's you." And he wasn't being nasty about it, but he was basically saying was that I wasn't famous, and that's what happened. A lot of people, come to LA and they say, "Oh, I'm gonna, be there for a month and be the youngest showrunner in existence." Yeah, that doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So
No.
it used to be, I guess, back in the day that you could come up with an idea and the idea would make you famous. Now it's the other way around. You have to be famous before you can get a deal. So that's basically what he was saying was that, until your project, has millions of fans, then there's not much I can do for you because I'm going to be going to ask Universal or whatever else for $100 million, and without a big IP,
Right.
it's not going to happen. So yeah, that's so I started to do that. I started to just release a different, different types of things for it to get the fan base up. And the fan base is growing, just slowly but surely kind of thing. So now we have 4 novels out. We have the graphic novel, which is an adaptation of the first novel, which is about 150 drawn pages, and the board game. And the board game has some expansion figures out and things to that effect.
Nice.
And then it also has an RPG along with it's not as Modi.
Oh,
What is the name of the publisher that does Pathfinder and Starfinder? So it's a Starfinder compatible
okay.
RPG. So as well as the board game. So the board game is a miniatures game. So it's the first game that has both space battle going on, as well as you have your away team basically on the planet's surface. So you're doing away team missions while your ship is in space. Your ship can land, it can fire on the planet, and all that stuff as well. So it's basically the first of its kind that does all that.
Oh, that's really awesome.
Yeah,
And I know
really lots of fun.
And I know you fully funded on your campaign for this. And are you going to do anything else with the other novels? Are you going to do another audiobook, maybe more games, some more graphic novels?
Yeah, so what I was hoping to do was to get to 7,000 because the audiobooks cost me, a few $1,000s to do. So I was kind of hoping to get to 7,000 so that I could get the next one. But we didn't get there. So I'm going to be launching an Indiegogo as well to kind of get maybe some extra money to be able to do that. Because the audiobook it's like a radio show. So I hired a husband and wife team.
Oh, nice.
And so The male voices are, he did voices for each character, and then the female voices have their own voice as well. So it's not like one person reading the entire thing trying to do male and female voices. So it came out more like a radio show.
Okay.
So it's lots of fun. So
Nice.
And they really embodied the characters, and I thought that the humor came off because Destiny of Aurora is kind of like Star Trek meets Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
So it's a story about I don't remember if I sent you a copy of the thing or not, but it's basically about a guy who was the director of the Secret Service, and this course takes place in the future. And during one of his gigs, his wife was a senator, and he was charged with protecting her during a big speech that she was about to give. And she is assassinated on his watch.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he sees the glint of the weapon in the distance, and he runs up on stage and tries to body block her.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not able to get there in time. So the bolt goes through his hand and then through her.
Mm-hmm.
So she's killed and he loses his hand at the same time. So he kind of goes into a funk, kind of takes the bottle a little bit. And his buddy, who's headed like the space cops, basically says, yeah, why don't you come work for me? You can go look for the assassin. I'll get you out of the house. Basically trying to help him. And so that's what he does, except everybody thinks he's completely unprofessional and thinks he's kind of crazy with the risks he takes. He goes into, non-coalition space and causes trouble, and nobody wants to work with the guy. So he gets a very eclectic crew that's not really too professional either, because, of course, they're kind of the bottom of the barrel as well. So that's basically the storyline, and so he finally finds the assassin, and there's a whole bunch of twists and turns that happen.
Very interesting.
So, yeah.
I know, like you said, the campaign just ended.
Yep.
It's fully funded, but if anybody was interested in still getting a hold of the audiobook, is there a way to do it?
Well, yes. They can DM me, and I can do. A lot of people don't have Audible, so it is on Audible already. But if they don't want to do Audible, if they don't have an account, then all of my campaign is for download.
Okay, yes, sir.
So yeah, they can just email me. I can basically do a separate sale, or they can wait for the Indiegogo to launch, but they'd have to know when that launches, so they should still DM me so I can put them on the list.
And you are going to be going on Indiegogo to relaunch the campaign there.
Yeah.
That's really good. Somebody mentioned they just got it on Kindle.
That's the book, but not the audiobook, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
It would be on Audible, but yes, the books are all on Kindle. All 4 books are on Kindle. In fact, my new fantasy book
yes,
is right here.
The Iron Witch. Yes, I was going to ask you about that next.
Yeah. Oh, that one just turned up on Kindle as well.
Nice. I know that you work a lot with film and television. Yep. So why the jump into novels?
So writing was the basis for me getting into film. Because what I wanted to do was I wanted to produce my own stuff. So I didn't really want to direct. So that's why I got into producing. So I said, who's a director's boss? And that's when I came up with being a producer. So I have produced a bunch of other people's stuff, obviously. And then my main job is line producing and UPMing, which is a step down from producing. But I'm the one that deals with the budget and crewing and all that stuff as well. So that's how I jumped into, because normally you'd go up through the ranks, and you'd be, a PA, and then you'd go up from there. But I started at such a late age that I had to go from the top down. So yes, I started out producing and went down. Of course, I was producing a lot of the stuff I produced at that time, because that was the last writer strike. When I first moved here, it was the last writer strike, which
Right.
was 2008, I think. It's a while ago. I moved here in 2006. And so when that writer strike hit, I was web series didn't even have a name at that time. So we decided to do our own web series, which again didn't have a name at that time. YouTube was basically just starting at that time. Hulu didn't even exist. And so I put out a thing on Craigslist that I was looking for crew. And because nobody was working, we ended up getting people that I would never have been able to get. Like we had a makeup guy from House. And
Oh, wow.
my producing partner later on, he put in through Craigslist, and he was like the producer of That 70s Show, producer of Third Rock from the Sun. And so he emailed me, wanted to get involved. And I'm like, you realize this is like a little to no paid gig, man, right? And he's like, yeah, but I want to get more into the other side of things, more independent. And, I want to know how to do that. So, so I want to get involved with some, lower budget production. And I'm like, okay. And then he and I became producing partners for years. And so that's how I kind of got into the business for film, but it was totally accidental. But yeah, so what I did was, so he and I were using our own money to produce stuff. And that's how I kind of got known in the business, was since I used my own money. When I worked with other people's money, I treated it like my money. So I cut a lot of corners, and I got things under budget. Like I did an AT&T commercial. And of course, when you do a commercial like that, you have a advertising agency looking over your shoulder the whole time, and they're the ones really paying you, because AT&T would be paying them. And I came in under budget, and then they had to spend the money, so they bonused the rest of the crew with the rest of the money. So I was kind of a hero there. And then we ended up. I ended up getting hired to do Star Trek Renegades. So
Okay.
I produced. I don't know if you've ever seen Star Trek Renegades, but so I worked with a lot of the Star Trek, alum at the time, like Walter Koenig, and that's how I met Tim Russ before that, and he plays Tuvok on Voyager. But I got to work with all those guys, and we pitched that show before Discovery got picked up. And unfortunately, when you're talking about Bad Robot, there's we were nobody compared to them. So back to the big famous thing again. So that's how I got into that. And then we ended up representing Nichelle Nichols, who played the original Uhura. I don't know if you know what happened with her, that her manager basically stole a lot of her money.
Yes, unfortunately.
And the funny part was that she had dementia, so and Alzheimer's. So he had her sign over like the grandmother house or the mother-in-law house that's still on the property to him for no pay. So he wasn't paying rent, and he had been there for years. So not only did he steal her money, including a portion of her Social Security, but he was still living on property. I thought it was the weirdest thing ever. Talk about some balls,
Yeah, exactly.
So her son came up from New Mexico to take care of her. And literally, I was there one day, and the guy came over and said, "No, my water heater's not working." So not only was he not getting paid, but the son had to pay for any repairs.
My God.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Oh my God.
So anyway, since she didn't have money enough to retire, we went out and did conventions for a year, so that she could have enough money to retire. But anyways, then we did a pilot, which I'm trying to pitch right now, which is an offshoot of Renegades called Renegades Almanara. which is its own IP that I wrote, and that was her final performance was in that piece. So yeah, that's where I am with all that. But that so sci-fi has been in my past and hopefully in my future for some time.
And what about with the Iron Witch? What was the inspiration behind that?
Okay, so with Iron Witch, so I because I love sci-fi and I prefer to stay in sci-fi, but I realized that sci-fi did not have the fan base that fantasy has.
Mm-hmm.
Fantasy's fan base is probably 50 to 70 times bigger
Right.
than sci-fi is. Maybe not on a film side or a TV side, but definitely on the written side.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to games, when it comes to RPG, when it comes to novels. So I decided that I was going to hang up, even though there was more stories I could tell with Aurora. I decided to take a step back and then go into fantasy and see how I would do. So I watched a whole bunch of videos about what not to write. And they all said the same thing. Don't do the chosen one thing. Don't do the trope of everybody being in like medieval England.
Right.
All this stuff. So I took that to heart and I'm like, okay, what kind of a world could I create that wasn't just medieval England and or medieval Europe in general? So I came up with a continent that had all the different things. So there was still medieval England in there. However, it was only a small microcosm of the continent. So that included, so I have ancient Greece in there. I have feudal Japan in there. I have vampire Vikings. I have so I have and obviously, and there's different weather regions and things to that effect as well, because I have desert and snowy areas and topography on the same continent. So, which I guess is kind of California. If I go up the Big Bear, I can see snow, and there's also desert. So that's how I kind of built the world. So everybody has their own religion, everybody has their own way of dressing, and then I created a magic system around that.
Okay.
I wanted to have my own like lightsabers kind of thing, where all the lightsabers look differently, but they still use the same kind of, in this case, force, and in my case, magic. So I created a thing called a Yara, which is kind of like a bracer. But the bracer could be in different forms, right? So you could have smaller ones, you have bigger ones, you have ones that go more on the hand. So depending on the culture, it would look differently. But inside are things called urnstones, and that's what directs your magic. And but you'd have to go on a quest, like a mind quest almost, to see if you were worthy to unlock your magic. And so I have this. My main character is a female character, as you can tell from the cover, and she comes across this thing called a storm veil, and that is a border to another land that nobody ever sees. And when she comes across, she has no memory of her past, and that's the magic that's in the storm veil, is that when you go through it, you lose any memories of your past. And that's why nobody goes. But she's wounded, and she's getting chased by these creatures, and she's saved and brought to this ludus, where the princesses and princesses from the different realms are being trained in magic. And she joins them, but not really, because she's not royal. So she's got, mean girls and stuff like that dealing with her, and she's not in. So it's kind of like this fish out of water situation, but she's also the most powerful magic user among them.
Okay.
So, but meanwhile, looming invasion by Iron Witch coming, and she's kind of stuck in the middle. So it's not really her battle, but now that this is her new home, she basically is inserted in it. So yeah, that's the basic story of Tales of Ravenore. So, and I have a trilogy or planned out for it, but not specifically. I like to throw my characters into the pot, and I'll figure it out later.
Do you hope to do the same thing that you just recently did with Destiny of Aurora? Do graphic novels? Do like a board game or anything like that?
Yeah, so what I really wanted to do was I wanted to take my multi-level board game where I have spaceships. Instead of spaceships, I wanted to do dragon riders and things to that effect, and kind of adapt that board game to a fantasy setting.
Mm.
However, the main point of that board game is that you have a crew complement of 5, right? So you have
Okay.
your captain, you have your weapons officer, you have your engineer, you have your pilot, etc. And I'm having trouble figuring out how to adapt that to the Dragon Rider situation where you wouldn't have a crew, right? You need one person there, and if you have 2 people on the dragon, maybe one's firing or something like that. But I was trying to figure out how to make that work, and I haven't been able to figure that out just yet. But it would be kind of fun to be able to have, dragons spewing, fire on another map completely. So, and then of course they'd be battling in the sky as well. And then you can kind of pimp out your dragon and all that stuff as well. And it's not only dragons, you could have griffins and other stuff, flying animals. So yeah, so I definitely want to do that. I just haven't figured out how to do it yet. And the miniatures look really good. And then of course people would be able to use them for D&D and things to that effect, which is what kind of happened with Aurora. People were using the figures for Starfinder.
Nice.
So I'm wanting to do that, but I am building a D&D RPG for it right now.
Okay.
So I will be launching that as soon as I get a lot of the artwork done. I have to read over some of the stuff because I don't play D&D myself. So I just hired writers to, write up the stuff for me, and we're doing missions and all those things as well. So it's basically a big compendium. So it'll probably be 150 something pages, and it'll detail the world, and it'll detail the monarchs of the different places. So you'll be able to travel to them, and you'll be able to also get your own Urnstones, get your own Yara, and all this other stuff as well. So you'll basically can immerse yourself in there, and then you could also pick races and things like that from regular D&D and regular monsters to fight, as well as the monsters I'm creating for that area as well. So, yeah, it's been fun. Plus, I just met Deborah Ann Wall, who is a big D&D. You know who she is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, yeah. So she was on. She started out on True Blood, and then she was on Daredevil and Punisher and all that stuff. But anyway, she was on Geek and Sundry, which I just was informed Geek and Sundry doesn't exist anymore. But anyway, she was playing D&D on that channel.
Okay.
So I just gave her the copy of the book because I was looking for her to kind of endorse it when it comes out. So yeah. So that's the basics of all the stuff that I've got going on. And then I am doing. I did the first issue of Lords of LA, which is by Vampire Mob of the 50s. And now I'm working on the second book, which is technically issues 2 and 3. Because when you do a Kickstarter and you get in 20 pages after you just spent, a crap ton of money, and you read it really quickly, and it could be another year before the second issue comes out. I didn't want to do things that way. So I make sure to do 2 issues together. And so I release 48 pages per issue, basically. Like a combination of issues. The first and second issue is out, and then a combination of the third and fourth issue.
I have a lot of people with my channel. I do a lot with independent comic books, and sometimes I'll talk about the mainstream comic books. Is there anybody you'd like to collab with in the future in your graphic novels?
Like published writers?
Artists. Yeah. writers, artists?
Well, I'm friends with Jeremy Adams.
Oh,
And so I had lunch with Jeremy Adams. So what happened with him is that he was going off the Flash. He knew his Flash
right.
was ending, and even though he was questioning why, because it was one of the highest rating and selling books for DC,
I know.
but they were booting him anyway. And he at the time did not know that he was getting Green Lantern. So I ended up going to a signing for him, and I was showing some of my stuff around. And he's like, "I want to have lunch with you because I may want to do my own stuff." And so we did. We sat and had lunch, and the meeting went completely different than I thought it was going to go because he really wants to direct. That's what he really wants to do. So I think he just got a Mortal Kombat gig. And
Really?
he just wrote Super Sons. He wrote Super Sons as well,
Mm-hmm.
the cartoon. But he just did I think he just got a gig for Mortal Kombat. But anyway, so we sat and had lunch, and I was kind of pitching him on doing a collab because he was afraid. Oh, what if it doesn't fund? I'd be embarrassed. It would be a mark on my thing. Blah blah blah. And I said, I'll make sure that doesn't happen. I said I've run enough Kickstarters. So we were talking about that, but then he ended up getting Green Lantern like literally a week later. And so I would love to work with him. He's a really, really nice guy. He's got a great family. He's a big family man, and all that stuff. So I'd love to work with him. As far as artists are concerned, I really don't have a favorite artist, but I know the style I like more than anything else.
Okay.
Like, I know a lot of people don't hate Greg Land and stuff like that, but I like Greg Land. And and what's the guy that was on Batman with Chip Zdarsky in the beginning when he was doing Failsafe? I like his work.
Oh, George Jimenez.
Yeah, I like his work a lot. Oh, he did the Mark Millar thing. I think that's where he jumped to do that. So yeah, there's a bunch of different artists. I probably don't know their name, that I know more of their work that I would love to partner with. Although I got to say that Alex from Mass, who I work with right now, I like his work a lot. And Joe Sam, the original Destiny of Aurora stuff looks really good too. So I have some good artists that I work with, and then my cover artist for a lot of the Aurora novels, and just did the Ravenore novel. He got poached from me to work with Magic the Gathering.
Oh, okay.
So I have to beg him to do
it's like, please.
Right now. But he's one of the most talented people I've ever seen for cover art. And there's a few other cover artists I wanted to work with as well that have, do really realistic stuff. I like my stuff to look as realistic as possible. Mm-hmm. What was the because even Jerry and I were talking about the Tim Drake Robin book, like what was that all?
yeah, that art was terrible.
I can't imagine how that even got greenlit.
There's a lot of stuff I don't know how got greenlit lately in comics. So
it looked like the guy's limbs were drooping off his body. I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah.
So it almost looked like Salvador Dali painting it in the comic book form.
It did not fit that style. It did not fit that story or that character at all.
I don't know. I remember when the Tim Drake for Robin #1 book came out. What was that? The 90s, early 90s, mm-hmm. Right? That's
Chuck Dixon and all. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the Tim Drake Robin I remember.
Yes, that's the Tim Drake Robin I think a lot of us remember and love the most.
Yeah, and to push him away from spoiler, I think that was a bad move because everybody liked that pairing, But I guess we're seeing the same thing with the Mary Jane thing right now with Spider-Man. So
yeah, I don't know why I feel like, and I've talked about this in other channels. I kind of sometimes feel like they want to do the opposite of what fans want. And
Yeah,
it's
I know.
kind of like I think that's why other mediums are becoming popular. Like a lot of independent crowdfunding stuff is becoming popular because of this attitude of, oh, is that what you want? Well, we're going to do the opposite.
Yeah, and then everybody was talking about it. Of course, the death of Miss Marvel in a book that she's not even in for the most
I,
part. Where did that brainchild come from? And in fact, even when it was being talked about, I mean, my idea for that was, why didn't they put her in the death of her in Avengers #1, where she had more of a connection to Carol. Carol's the leader of that thing. Carol was putting together a team. Why didn't
mhm,
she die in the beginning of that? And then that would cause Carol to put a team together to battle whatever killed her. That would have made more sense
exactly.
than.
Yeah, the decision on that was kind of weird because I said, okay, you know what? Maybe she somehow gets in the crossfire and accidentally gets killed, and Spider-Man blames himself. But then I had read it because somebody had sent me a copy, and it was just like, no, this makes no sense. It really doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and then on top of that, they had that her shapeshift, right? Which
Yes,
I
it was Mary Jane who shapeshift.
she shaped as into Mary Jane.
No, the opposite. Mary Jane shapeshifted. Well, yeah, you're right. She shapeshifted into
Right?
Mary Jane, and then she
As
got killed
Jane
as
and
Mary Jane, but
right,
it turned out to be her.
right, yeah, and but so I didn't know Miss Marvel could even do that. And then second of all, how did she shapeshift her clothes?
Well, it was, I
Okay,
think, MJ's power because MJ has power now.
right, but everybody was telling me that I guess that Miss Marvel's used this in the past.
Oh, see, I don't keep up with Miss Marvel. It's not like one of those
Yeah,
characters I'm
they
really
told me.
familiar. I only read her when she pops in somebody else's book.
Yeah, so the funny part is that I just read. I collect Captain Marvel. I'm like one of the 5 people that collect Captain Marvel, and Kelly Thompson should have been pulled off that book 25 issues ago.
Hmm.
She's had nothing new to say about that character very, very long time. But and then this was the last one. It was not a double sized issue, but an enlarged issue for 30 pages at $5, and it was literally about nothing. They throw a
Yeah,
party for her, and everybody tells her how great she is. That's it. That's the entire book.
it's like
So,
the Hellfire Gala.
is that what the hell about? I don't really collect that much X-Men because X-Men's have been so bad. I even tried. I know that
Yes.
I know that Wes liked the Storm book, but by Anna Senti, I couldn't. I'm not continuing that. I thought that was really bad. I'm a huge Storm fan. She's my favorite
Hmm.
actually, uh, but yeah. So now the reason I was bringing that up is because now we have the movie coming out, right? So the movie's coming out in November, right? That,
Hmm.
that everybody thinks is going to do very, very poorly. But on top of that, Miss Marvel's dead, which we all know she's going to come back as a mutant.
Yeah,
But
and yeah,
right,
they're gonna change her power set to match up with the.
and Captain Marvel doesn't have her own book anymore. That's been canceled. And uh, look,
Photon.
what's Photon?
Yeah,
Uh, her book was so bad too. I'm a big fan of hers as well, and I got 2 issues in, I was done.
yeah. I started with the first issue, and I said, okay, might not be bad, and then I got the second one. I was just kind of like, I can't.
Yeah, it was written so poorly. So I don't know what everybody's doing, but so right now you don't even have representation of those characters in comics right now, outside of Carol in the Avengers. That's really the only. So if anybody's gearing
And
up for the movie right now, they have nothing to collect.
I'm glad you brought that up because, like, I remember when the MCU first came out and it was like huge, and the comic book store was like everybody was in there, and I could see all these new people coming in, and they couldn't find the characters they just met in the movie because Marvel decided to like introduce alternative versions of them. It was the all new, all different Marvel, and everybody was like, well, where's Steve Rogers? Where's Tony Stark? And I'm like, well, right now he's like in some type of coma, and she's now the Iron Man. Her name is
But
this. And they're like,
that was Riri Williams was at that,
yeah,
which
and
makes sense.
it was like that was like they missed an opportunity there to really like promote the comics in conjunction with the movies. Like I always talk about this, like I know you don't know a lot about manga and anime, But the mangas usually sell the anime, and then the anime sell the manga because they're pretty much the same story. There might be some changes,
And that makes more
but
sense, right?
it makes more sense. So it was like, I thought it was a weird choice that they would do that. And then, like, when the last Doctor Strange movie came out, they killed him in the comic, and I'm like, why would you
Yeah.
do that before the movie comes out? That makes no sense to me.
Although,
You would have him
although,
front and center.
yeah, especially when Clea was only introduced in the last, 2 seconds of the,
Right.
of the post-credit scene. But I actually liked the Clea Strange book better than I'm liking the Doctor Strange book right now by McCabe.
Yes. Yes.
He just has. I haven't read the new one, but I think Wong's on the cover with the not sword. What is the name of it? Wand, right?
Yeah.
You got Wong of
Wong.
Wand. Say that 100 times fast.
It's just they make a lot of weird decisions on these books lately, and I'm just like, I'm reading manga. I got like a pile of it behind me. I'm reading independent comics.
Obviously, as you said, that's selling, and Wes has said the same thing. It's just selling, so much better than regular Marvel is. Although, Eric July has his own empire that he's building at this point. So
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, I think, and that's the thing. I think because mainstream is mostly not really putting in the effort or putting in the right people. Like Jeremy Adams was on The Flash and was doing so well, and instead, why not keep him on that? Like, but at least he's now on the Green Lantern book, so I'm looking forward to reading.
Yeah, and on top of that, he couldn't even do a story at this point because they had the Night Terrors thing starting, so he couldn't even start a story. He basically had to do 2 filler issues because this Night Terrors thing is starting. So I'm really tired of all the hijacking of books at this point with all the events.
They do too many events. Yeah, the events are getting out of hand. Like, events used to be like something that got built up to like maybe once or like every so often. Like, it was the climax. Now it's like every other month we're going to start another event. I'm like, but did you finish that event? Like, you haven't finished that event yet.
Everybody hated the Lazarus Planet thing.
Yeah.
There was just nothing good in there. It's crazy.
I tried reading a few stuff for Wes because I was going to be on his channel for it, and I was just like, okay, like out of all this, maybe one. And it was the one where they all went to the planet. See, I don't even remember it that well. That's how memorable it was. Where they went with Robin and Monkey
Robin.
King.
Yeah, we ended up with Robin versus Batman and then spiraled out.
Yes.
So, are you more of a DC or a Marvel person?
I grew up, first superhero was introduced was Wonder Woman, but honestly, I really got into it more in my teens, so it was Marvel, like especially the X-Men and Spider-Man, and at that time, Venom was coming out, and so it's like you had the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man designs on all the covers.
Yep.
And then he broke off to do Spawn. I was reading Spawn. I still read Spawn.
Really? I haven't read Spawn in a long time.
His I fell off of it for the longest time, but then when he brought it back when he was doing the Spawn universe, it's really good. I like especially Gunslinger Spawn.
Yeah, that seems to be everybody's favorite. The Gunslinger Spawn. I don't know if you follow Mike Spiderslayer's channel, but he just got he's I guess promoting the one of the guys that does all the covers for Gunslinger Spawn, and he gave him a sign.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Really nice. Yeah, so it was mostly Marvel. I think it's because it was at that time X-Men was really at its height, and I was in high school, so it's like I related a lot to like what was going on with those characters outside of the superpower part. But
that was Claremont stuff, wasn't it?
Yes, Claremont.
Back when he could write.
Yeah. I know. I got his Gambit recently, and I was like, I think I dropped it after the third one. I was like,
yeah, I tried his X-Men. What was the newest X-Men thing that he just did? I was kind of excited for that because it looked more like the 90s, and I'm like, oh.
Well, that's what like the Gambit was too, but it was just pretty much Gambit driving around with kid version Storm, and it was like, we going somewhere with this plot? Or is he just driving all over California? Yeah, it wasn't like my favorite at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. I remember the days of Storm taking over the Morlocks and all that shit. Those are the times when I was reading it.
Yeah, you had like
Uh,
the
uh, and
Age of Apocalypse and all.
oh God, what was uh, what was the inker on that? I haven't seen him in a long time. But he was from Florida back before I moved here. So I was friends with him for a while. God,
Yeah, I remember who the
that
inker
was
was
what it
on
was.
it.
Psych, the Jean Grey costume. Oh, that was back in the day for sure. Number one's popping
Yeah.
up, a major foothold at that time too.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
hugely popular, and it was popular for the longest time until recently. And I was like, I can't get into the Croatia era thing at all. I
Oh, okay.
don't like it. Like,
Yeah, I don't understand that whole thing. It got so convoluted that I could
mhm.
barely keep up with it. You know, uh,
It's
so when I was in college, I kind of went to Punisher. So this is
okay.
to me this is the Punisher. So I got signed Mike Zeck.
Yeah.
I didn't like the new Punisher as much as a lot of the other people did. And then I don't know if you're a fan of World's Finest, but
Yes, I really like World's Finest. Mark
there's
Waid has done a good job
yeah,
with that.
Wade, number one.
Yeah.
Very
Nice.
nice. Signed
Oh
Jeff.
yes, Jeff Johns.
Yep. And then of course, Jeremy. Oh yeah. And then I don't know if you got Deadly Duo at all, but
Yes, I did.
I have the whole series signed.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know if you see the orange thing there.
I did get the Todd McFarlane Batman and Spawn, but I wasn't a big fan.
Oh yeah, that wasn't good.
I was like, nah.
Yep.
I
And
did get the
there's
Jorge Menace cover though. Oh, okay.
Jeremy signed that for me.
Nice.
So yeah, so I got a nice little collection. That's one thing that I'm gonna miss when I move out of here is all the artists doing signings and everything else around here. I'm gonna miss that because there's no production going on here, so I'm actually gonna be moving.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna move to Atlanta.
Okay.
Which
Well, Atlanta's another good place for filmmaking. They got
yeah,
studios
that
down
is
there and all.
unless you move to Canada.
Oh.
There's over 500 productions going on there right now.
Yeah.
And the Cathys who own Chick-fil-A are dumping billions of dollars into building sound stages over there. They built their
And
own.
Tyler Perry's out there too, right? He's got
And Tyler Perry and Lionsgate's opening their own sound stages over there too.
Yeah, and Marvel. I think Marvel has their sound.
Well, Marvel is shooting on the Trilith lot, which is the Cathys lot.
Okay.
So that they have 22 sound stages there right now. They're building housing. The houses go from $1,000 to $4 million. Crazy. And the same guys that designed the architecture and everything like that and the world building over there for Celebration for Disney, they're the ones that built Trilith. And so there's shops and there's stores. So not only does it have the 22 sound stages, but it has the housing and then the shops and the restaurants and all that stuff as well. So it's its own little community. And they're building 11 more sound stages. Crazy.
That's how anything line up for there?
Well, they're telling me, because I met with the government out there, and they're telling me that they can name 5 line producers in the entire state.
Oh, wow.
So they didn't think I was going to have a problem getting a job out there. My problem is I had to find a house. So I
Right.
put an for a house out there, and I got turned down because they figured I was only. I had a nice little chat with the realtor that made the decisions on it, but they figured that once I got there, I was gonna, leave after a couple of years. So they gave the house to an older guy that they thought would be a longer rental. Because I don't want to buy anything because I don't know the area well enough
Right.
to just go out and buy something. I want to rent something first. So yeah, as soon as I rent the house for put the deposit down, I'm out of here.
Right.
So we're just waiting to do that.
Well, you're gonna have Dragon Con out there. It's like probably
Yes, the
one of the
cons
biggest on the.
able to go to MegaCon and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot of stuff in California as outside. We have the big one in San Diego, which they have a 10-year wait for a booth out there. You can't get a booth for that if you wanted to. And then we have LA Comic Con, and then we have a couple little teeny ones, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's far more on the East Coast than the West Coast as far as con. So,
Yeah, when I was in Florida, I went to MegaCon a lot. I liked MegaCon. It was
yeah,
getting bigger and bigger.
starting because I was out in Florida. I lived for a dozen years out in Florida. So I graduated from UCF.
Okay.
So I was out there, from the late 80s, early 90s out there. And MegaCon was like just starting. I knew the owner before she sold it. And now it's turned into a massive, massive fucking con. That thing's huge.
Yeah, I think it's part of the Fan Expo.
Yeah, it's
which
big.
Used to be Comic-Con.
I remember doing a convention when I first created Shadow. Shadow Raven was my first comic book character. In 1995, I released him. And in fact, I just brought him into the Destiny of Aurora universe in my last novel. So I resurrected him, basically. And he, so I was promoting him, and that was back, it was before we actually released it. So it was probably 93, 94. And I went to a little teeny con, and who was sitting next to me? Stan Lee.
No way.
Yeah. And there was barely any people there. That's the difference between back in the 90s to the 2000s, where he was charging how much for an appearance? He was probably doing that thing for free.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how much cons changed over the years, just since the 90s.
Yeah, there was one in
we're charging $50 for the picture.
There was one in South Florida. It's still there. It's big now, but I remember when it was in like
all actors
small
are
little
just overboard.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. Now they're all behind black curtains.
Because comics weren't as mainstream as they are.
Am I losing you?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how
I think we're having some technical difficulties. Yep. Sorry, guys. It looks like I lost Frank. Give him a minute. Let's see if he gets back on. In the meantime, if you want to check anything from Frank, I do have links down below in the description. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And he's frozen. I do recommend checking out his Destiny of Aurora books, as well as the Iron Witch, The Tale of Ravenore. I have actually going to download the Iron Witch when we're done here to read it and see what it's like. But I do like the Destiny of Aurora, so I would suggest checking those out. He's got the graphic novels for it. He's got the board game. He's just did a campaign for an audiobook. So that should be coming soon to, he said, Audible. So check that out when it does. I'm going to just let him know he needs a... I lost you, Frank. It's been a week of technical issues, let me tell you. Frank and I were supposed to get together last week, but thanks to somebody deciding to take out a transformer on the road, I wasn't able to get on anything. Oh, you gotta love when this stuff happens. Yeah, so all the links are down below in the description. If you want to check out any of his books, there's the Kickstarter. He's going to be going on Indiegogo soon. Also, he's got books on Amazon as well as on Kindle, and soon he'll have his audiobooks on Audible. Stay tuned for the campaign because you can also get a hold of some board games. I think I'm going to let me give him a minute, see if he comes back. If not, we're going to just say goodnight. But how's everybody in the chat doing? I see we have a few people. Did you hit that like button? You better hit that like button. You know who I'm talking to. I knew it wasn't going to end well. Stupid tech. Gotta love computers. You gotta love internet and Wi-Fi. And I thought I'd be the one to get kicked off because honestly, I've been having thunderstorms all day today, but fortunately, nothing has happened. I only had one power outage today in the middle of work, and that was it. And it was quick. It went right back on. But now we are... Oh, boy. Well, that was a fun stream. It was really interesting to hear from Frank about his books and as well as his career in filmmaking, as well as the fact he knows Jeremy Adams. I mean, that's pretty awesome right there. So I do hope to have him again on the channel. In the meantime, I'm going to call it the night, and I want to thank Frank for being on. I'm sorry it ended this way. Hopefully for your next campaign, we can get back together and have another video. In the meantime, everybody, good night. And once again, I'm going to say it again. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will be back Monday for Manga Monday, as well as Tuesday is Otaku Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the squad. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of news coming up with those cons, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of comic book news, a lot of manga news. In the meantime, I'm going to go. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Oh. I was just about to end it because I didn't know if you were able to come back.
I switched to my on my internet or whatever, so I just went on my thing on my phone. So my phone data.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to close it up. I guess that's all right.
Well, I was just telling them all I have links to your products in the description as well as your Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, I was able to hear you. You just couldn't hear me for some reason.
No.
I heard you down.
You totally froze.
So I heard you downloaded something, though. What did you say you downloaded from mine?
I was going to download the Iron Witch.
Oh, okay. I can just send it to you if you want. I can just send a PDF for you if you want.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I can send the audiobook as well.
Oh, nice. I was telling everybody that I have all your links down below. Also reminding them that you're going to have an Indiegogo campaign soon for the Destiny of Aurora. Is there anything else I missed that they should know?
Just I have my own YouTube channel that I'm trying to grow as well. I do movie reviews, I do comic reviews, and I do board game playthroughs on it.
And I have that down below too. So everybody check out that and subscribe.
Did you see Flash yet?
No, but I saw clips and I'm kind of worried. Did you see it?
I went last night because I absolutely hate Ezra Miller.
Me too. That's the reason I haven't rushed off.
Not only nothing to do with his personal shit, which is also part of it, but I could not stand him in Justice League. I thought he was.
Me either.
incredibly annoying all through Justice League, and I couldn't wait for him to shut up. So I didn't have anything to review, so I'm like, all right, I'll go see it. And I made a deal with myself saying, if he gets too annoying, I'm just going to walk out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pleasantly surprised with the movie. So I don't know why. There was obviously they could have stuck more to Flashpoint, and I don't really know why they did, because they could have made Michael Keaton Thomas Wayne.
True. We're losing you again, Frank.
His whole motivation, Flashpoint, was die free.
Right.
Hell,
did they change that?
What's going on?
I don't know.
Did you? Am I lost again? Yeah, I can see
there
you
are.
fine.
I can hear you now.
Oh, you can
I
hear
can
me?
hear you now.
Okay.
Then he froze.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
So again, what's going on? I'm going off my cellular data now. I don't know what's going on. So they could have easily made him Thomas Wayne, which they didn't do. But his motivation for helping him was that he wanted to get he was sacrificing himself so that his son could live, so Bruce could live. I thought that was really good motivation, but they didn't use any of that in the movie. And both Aquaman and Wonder Woman are in the movie.
I saw the clip of Aquaman.
So there's no reason that they couldn't have done the war, right?
Right.
Because they're in the movie anyway.
Yeah.
But instead they used the whole Zod thing. I guess they didn't want to deter too far from the Flash, because there's a lot of scenes, obviously, in Flashpoint that don't have the Flash in it. So, but I think they could have done it closer. And the CGI is bad. The CGI is bad.
That's the biggest thing I've heard.
So you just have to walk in there going, okay, I'm going to see the game.
Oh boy. Your voice is breaking up.
So if you walk in there like it, but it's got okay. Woo.
Yeah.
Am I back or no?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Am I frozen again?
You're frozen, but I can hear you clearly.
Again? I'm frozen.
Yeah. I've heard. I also saw the clip at the end of when he returns and the Batman he meets.
It's so weird because
now you're breaking up again.
I'm frozen, but yeah, okay.
You're frozen, and then your voice is breaking up.
You don't see my mouth move, but meanwhile, I can see you fine. You don't ever break up. But it's weird that I'm breaking up.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
Which means that my connection is still there. Oh yeah. It's but
yeah, I thought that was a weird choice for that at the end. I won't spoil it for anybody, but I thought that was a weird choice.
Am I frozen again?
Frozen and breaking up again.
I haven't moved. I've been
I
staying
know
in the
you.
same chair the entire time.
I don't know what's
I'm crazy.
causing it. But yeah,
All right.
I'll
All right.
probably wait to see it. But I've heard mixed reviews, so I'm like you. I'm not a big Ezra Miller fan. I didn't like him
All
before
right.
all the
So my
crap that
picture is
happened.
frozen, but my
Okay,
voice is.
your voice is there, and now you're got the spinning circle of death. Mm, and I'm usually the one who potatoes a lot. You with me, Frank?
Not really.
No, I see you like.
No. And I just connected to
Oh,
internet again, so I don't know.
oh boy. Well, what
Yeah.
we'll do is why don't we wrap it up?
Okay. Let's wrap it up.
Like I said before, if you all of Frank's info is down below, his YouTube channel, his Instagram, his Facebook. There's links to the past Kickstarter. There's also links to his books on Amazon. Is there anything else, Frank, I should throw in there?
No, that's great. That's everything's there. And again, the things on Audible. Can you hear me or no?
Yes, I can. I
Oh,
can hear you perfectly fine.
just can't see. Okay, so I got my blank face on. So yeah, the books, the audio book is on Audible right now, and then hopefully when we launch the second, we'll be able to do that second audio book as well. I really want to stick with the same voice actor because they did such a great job.
Yes, and stay tuned for that campaign on Indiegogo.
Yep.
Um,
Thank you
in the
so much,
meantime,
Carrie. I
guys,
appreciate you putting up with my internet connection.
no problem. And I want to thank you very much for being on the channel. And hopefully you can come back when you do launch that Indiegogo campaign.
Absolutely. I will have plenty to talk about.
All right, no
All
problem.
right.
And guys, thank you. And don't forget to share, and subscribe, comment down below, and we'll see you
Bye.
next time.
Woo! All right, bye.
Bye. And he's gone.